Welcome to WVTC TV Network, capturing family moments in real time, bringing families closer together from the comforts of home. We are unleashing something different to the world. Start your subscription today for the low price of $4.99 per month or $55 annually. Go to www.wvtctvnetwork.com to sign up today. WVTC TV Network is streaming live on 8 different platforms. You can easily download the WVTC TV Network app on the Apple Store, Play Store, Roku, Fire TV, and more. Here at WVTC TV, we have access to movies that everyone can enjoy, including independent films, Sons of a Preacher and a Good Thing, Treasures of Life, the epic drama, The Passion of the Christ, and the box office hit Madagascar Escape to Africa. Remember, go to www.wvtctvnetwork.com and sign up today.
Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. I am Edward Jones, and
I'm Latanya Jones.
And this is the Family Phirst podcast. We're back with you again this week, and we are just so excited to be able to be there. You all right over there?
Oh yeah, my microphone came off. But go ahead.
Came off. Look at you. You need some help?
No, I got it.
You sure?
Yeah.
You sure? Because we just, last week we talked about me making fun of you and talking. So is it time for me to make fun of you?
No, you got it. I got it.
You sure?
Yep.
You sure? I hear all the noise and stuff. You sure you're good?
Yep.
Okay. Anyway, as we were saying, we're family first.
See, still teasing me.
See, I'm still teasing her. Like I told you last week. Today on our show today, we ended last week by talking about how we're going to talk about our story and how we kind of met and what that kind of does for us now and how God kind of operates with us, because nothing that he does with us is normal.
Not at all.
So you want to tell the story? You want me to tell the story?
You can start telling the story. I can fill in.
Oh,
I want to see how much you remember.
Oh, you want how much I remember?
Yeah.
Well, anyway, it was a dark and stormy night.
Oh my gosh.
and it was just like in Cinderella, where it was a ball and
oh my gosh,
the princesses from all over
oh
the
my
world
gosh
were looking for their Prince Charming. Obviously, I was Prince Charming.
Now you gonna tell the story? Tell the story.
Oh, that doesn't sound good.
No, that was not story. I don't know whose story you was telling.
Oh, well, okay. All right, let's go back. Okay, so wasn't that exciting? It wasn't no ball. It was no Prince. Well, I am Prince Charming, but we met actually in the days before all of these different apps and whatnot. We met online. We met. I can't even remember. Do you remember what it was?
Christian Cafe.
It was Christian Cafe. And it was a chat group. So we didn't. There was no. I don't think there was no Facebook. Or was it? I don't know what it was.
There was no Facebook.
I can't remember. It's a long time ago. It was over 20 years ago. So, but it was. They did have like threaded discussions. They had threaded discussions, and it was online and whatnot. And I lived in here in Chicago, in the Chicagoland area. I lived here in Chicago, but she lived in California, in the Oakland Bay Area.
Yes, Oakland.
Yeah. That's why I be running for my life, y'all. She's open. She's open, y'all. So if I blink twice, just know. But we sparked up a conversation online. Uh,
Mhm.
I can't remember what it was or anything like that, but it was. But I had mentioned that I was coming to California, and she said she would pick me up from the airport. I said, well, all righty then. I got me a ride from the airport. Didn't think anything of it. Um, and I get to California, and I get my bags. This is in a day where you could still, this was not too long after 9/11, and they hadn't made all of the different changes that they've made in the airports and stuff
Mhm.
now. Um, but got my bags, and she is walking toward me. And as she's walking toward me, I hear the Lord say, this is your wife right here. And I'm the biggest skeptic of is that what the Lord said. Heard the Lord say. But Lord, I audibly hear the voice of the Lord say, this is your wife right here. I said, Lord have mercy. Okay. That's just what you don't want to do is creep somebody out. And so and she's walking towards me. Y'all know what this woman did? This woman. You know what this woman did? She walked right past me.
Yes, I did.
She walked right. She's supposed to be picking me up from the airport.
Yeah.
And she walked right past me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, to my defense, this was the first time I was actually seeing you in person.
Right.
But yeah.
It wasn't too many black men on that flight, y'all. It wasn't too many black men. Yeah, at the baggage claim.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Let's see this. Let's see if you talking about. You remember? So, what was I wearing?
You had on a red FUBU shirt
Mm-hmm.
and jeans.
Uh-huh.
I and K Swiss. I remember the whole
I
outfit.
was fly, y'all. It was a red FUBU t-shirt, and it was a FUBU jean suit that had the FUBU jeans and the FUBU jacket that went along with it. Yes, my white case was I was fly. Can nobody tell me that?
Yeah, yeah.
And anyway, but she remember. Okay, I give her some points for remembering.
Yeah, I remember.
Okay, and so she picks me up, and she decides that I'm hungry. Okay, and so she decides she gonna take me to get some Chicago pizza in Oakland, California.
Yes.
She didn't know no better, y'all. She didn't know no better. And so she took me to Uno's.
Yep.
So Uno's took me to Uno's down there by what is it called? Not Fisherman's. That's Fisherman's Wharf in San Francisco. It's called down there by whatever.
Jack London Square.
Yeah, Jack London Square. And we had some pizza, had some nice little conversation, little small talk. And I think your mom came by. Your mom drove by. You had messaged your mom or called your mom or whatnot, and she had came by, and I met your mom.
Mm-hmm.
And that was it. Nice little lunch and whatnot. And I flew back to Chicago. But this is eating at me. It's eating at me. Lord then said, this woman, my wife. And I was like, Lord, how am I going to not sound creepy, not sound spooky? The most important thing, how do I keep from getting rejected? And we was talking on the phone, but by this time, we had started talking on the phone. This is in the time before unlimited minutes. You know, you got data plan. You just talk, just talk. We had to pay by the minute, y'all. And then after a certain time, it was free after a certain time. But because California is 2 hours behind us, you know, and it was just crazy. So after a certain time, um, I had to say it was just eating me. It was just eating me. So I said, so we're on the phone one night, and and it was just kind of out of the middle of nowhere, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I said, I gotta tell you something. And I said, um, and, and if you could see my face, I'm on the phone like this. I'm like, really? No. And I'm like, um, I think you're supposed to be my wife. Yeah.
Hmm.
And that awkward silence.
Mm-hmm.
And TV land, podcast land, y'all want to know what this woman said? Do you want to know what this what woman? What did you say?
I said, well, I remember saying like, the Lord hadn't shared that with me.
No, stop lying. See, there you go. Stop lying. Stop lying for the people. See,
The Lord hadn't shared that with me. Yeah.
No, stop lying to people. See, people gonna say, I already know.
But the interesting thing was, I had received a prophecy years ago,
Mm-hmm.
that I was going to marry someone, and we were going to have 5 children. But the kicker was that my husband, the man I was going to marry, he was not from California, and I just thought that was just crazy, and didn't think anything of it because years had passed. But when I told my mom that I had met him and we were talking and starting to get really close, she said, "Oh my goodness, do you remember? The words that were spoken to you, years ago." And I said, "No, I kind of forgot about it." And but yeah, that
Thank God for Mama, y'all. Yeah, that's him. And when I told her this is what the Lord said, she said, "Yes, I know." That's what she said. That's
yeah.
what she said. See, she's trying to play. See, she's trying to play for the cameras. Don't get it twisted. She's trying to play for the cameras. Don't you gotta get home. Yeah. She said, "Yeah." And that was in June.
2002.
That was June, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That was June of 2002
Yep.
when we had that conversation. We were married in January of 2003.
Yep.
So God revealed it quick. We moved on it quick. We got married quick. All of it weird in how it happened online before. Now everybody's meeting online. From what I understand now, everybody's meeting online, whether it be Facebook or Instagram.
Yeah, but in our time, it was strange. It was
strange.
weird. It was like, what do you mean that you're meeting somebody that you've met online and marrying them? Like, who does that? That was we faced a lot of criticism, ridicule, people looking at us strange.
It was crazy.
Yeah, we were crazy.
And it wasn't like either one of us could find somebody.
Yeah, it just happened that way. So that was funny. But yeah, 22 years later.
22 years later, we still kicking
22 years later, 5 kids later, we are still here going strong.
And so what does that tell you about relationships and trusting God in the midst of it, and how everybody's story is different? I believe that everybody should have a story, and it should be memorable. And we see God's hand in the midst of it. And so, and to me, it makes me keep God first. We say family first, but when we say family first, we know that that God is before everything. So, um, how does just remembering our story
Mm-hmm.
make us make you? I know how it makes me. How
Mm-hmm.
does it make you want to make sure that we keep God at the center of everything because He orchestrated everything,
Mm-hmm.
and keeping Him before everything, but keeping us first before
Mm.
all other stuff. And knowing because we're gonna ride with each other because we done been through it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I think just trusting God.
Mhm.
Um, not so again, it's weird. I can say probably weird in the way that we met. When you are a little girl, you think that you're going to meet, your person this way, a certain way. You're going to get married a certain way. We kind of, as girls, we set up our little timeline of
Mhm.
of how it's going to happen, when it's going to happen, so on and so forth. And none of it happened the way that I thought that it was
We
going to
got married in
happen.
Vegas, y'all. We was kidding. We
Yeah,
got
we
married
got
in
married in Vegas. I
It was
I, I
fun.
imagine this big old church
Oh man, it
wedding,
was
and
fun.
yeah, none of it
But
happened the
Richard said
way.
getting married in Vegas. Now it wasn't through the drive-through with Elvis.
No,
Now
it
we
wasn't.
planned
It
it.
wasn't.
We
It
planned
wasn't.
we planned the wedding, but we just planned it to get married in Vegas. So
Yeah,
just want to let y'all know it wasn't no shotgun wedding, nothing like that. We
right.
actually planned it to be in Vegas.
Yeah, which was actually a lot of fun.
Mhm.
And I enjoyed it. And but I think it reminds you to trust God in all
Mhm.
things.
Mhm.
You don't know where your blessing is going to come from, how it's going to be packaged up.
Mhm.
So to trust God in all things. And just to know that, hey, if there's something that I need, there's something that needs to be met, we trust that God is going to meet it. Now,
Mhm.
we don't know how it's coming, we don't know when it's coming,
Mhm.
but we know it's going to come.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Because
I think that helps,
yeah. Yeah.
because especially with kids, there were so many times, especially when we just have the little three, that Lord, how are we going to
Man.
how are we going, we running out of diapers, wipes,
Formula.
formula. Oh my
We
goodness.
learned early on that God provides.
Yes.
I think that is something um, that we learned, and that's something that I want to encourage all of you uh, tonight to know that God will provide. You trust
Yes.
Him, He will
Provide.
provide,
Yeah.
and man, in ways that we never would have thought. Um, no, first with Jasmine, we're trying to figure out how to parent Jasmine, and then because so when we got married, uh, and we moved to Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm.
So we lived in Oklahoma for the first year or so of our marriage. I got called to a church. I was pastoring there. I was born in Oklahoma, and that's why we moved there because I had a little bit of family. I have family on my dad's side of the family, but not too much that we could grow together as a couple, begin to learn
Mm-hmm.
one another. Because, like I said, we only, it was 6 months. I said, so we're still getting to know each other too.
Yeah. Yeah.
At the same time. Yeah, and she trusted God. Watch this. She trusted God to marry me and to move from her home in California
Oh
to
Lord,
Oklahoma.
that was tough.
That was a combination of trusting God and
Trusting God.
that's and
And trusting
and
God.
come on. but
Yes.
but seriously, so uh living there, dealing with the ups and downs, and learning a new community, a new culture,
Mm-hmm.
then getting pregnant, and then with Jasmine, and all of that being born there, and then she got me, y'all. She said, "Okay, I'm gonna do Oklahoma for a little bit, but I got a plan. I'm gonna get him to California." So got me to California. So we moved to California when it was just the three of us. And she got pregnant with the boys. So now we're in California with three children, and uh, dealing with that, just knowing that God will provide, and just depending upon hearing Him. And I think for any young couple uh, or old couple or any couple, any people that are desiring to be a couple, to be married, what I would really recommend you doing is really fine tuning um, your ear so that you can hear the Lord.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because the Lord will have you do things that might not make sense to other people, but it makes perfect sense to you.
Yeah.
Or it might not even make sense to you, but you know that the Lord said do it. But if you got interference, if you don't know if that's really the Lord speaking, and you might be slow to follow His instructions.
Yeah.
And so that's something I can say that both of us, in preparing ourselves, really, um, really uh, got ourselves in sync with the Lord, that we could hear what He said. Uh, and one of the things that was really a blessing to me was that you trusted me. You trusted me. The decisions that um, I made, you trusted me. The decisions, uh, even if I didn't know if it was going to work out, and that was so huge for us. And but the thing is, it wasn't so much. Well, it was that you trusted me, but once again, you trusted God. And it was like, God, if he messed up, if he messes up, you're gonna have to fill in, because I'm trusting you.
Yeah.
So, and that has kind of been our story. God does things unconventional, um, but he's unconventional, but he has a pattern.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. If it's kind of like with us, if the Lord, if it's too easy, or if it's the conventional way,
it don't work.
That's not God. That's not God. God, yeah, that's not God's way. If it's the way that everybody else does,
Yeah.
that's not that's not how God operates.
Yeah.
With us, God does things with us very quickly. He does things with us supernaturally and things of that nature. But so for those of you in relationships, you have to see your rhythm and how God operates with you guys.
Yeah.
And that will relieve some of the tension even in relationships.
Yeah.
If you know, okay, God's going to step in. It doesn't stop you from having anxieties. It doesn't stop you from having problems or issues. But it gives you a roadmap of how to navigate those situations. I remember um, when because we get along great. We get along great. This my best friend. This is my best friend.
Yep.
We get along great. But I remember when we got into one of our first arguments, and you were like distraught.
I was. I was.
So tell us why you were
I was so distraught. I think I mentioned this in the last podcast, just about when you grow up, you know, in different family situations and you experience trauma. So you carry that stuff with you. And you definitely, you know, it's important to deal with that. And you try your best to uh you know, deal with it in such a way that it doesn't come up in your new relationships. But sometimes it's still, you know, remnants of it is still there. And so because it just becomes nature. And so for me, it was okay, oh my gosh, we got into an argument. That means we about to get divorced. Oh my God, we about to get divorced. And because I felt that, you know, if you're married and you're happily married, right? That means we get along all the time. There is no arguing. We don't fight. We don't have issues. Well, there's no conflict. So that was my thinking, right? Because I'm thinking the opposite of what I saw growing up. So, of course, what I saw was the arguing and things like that, right? So I'm thinking
you knew that was dysfunctional.
So I knew that was dysfunctional. I knew that was an issue. But I thought, okay, so the opposite of that is the right way, right? So that means, okay, to be happily married means there is no arguing, there is no conflict. Like we get along, we happy every single day. But that's not real life. So that was one of my first lessons, just in being married and just relationships, that conflict was not a bad thing. That there's nothing wrong with conflict. It's all about how you handle the conflict, how you deal with the conflict. And so yeah, I'll never forget that feeling. I laugh at it to this day. But I remember that, and I was just, oh my God, you know, oh my God, we about to divorce. We had an argument. You know, so I remember that, but I'm thankful because now flash at it. And I think one thing that I realized even with you is that like with your mom and sister, like you guys have a pretty good healthy way of resolving and dealing with conflict, which I think is you know pretty cool. I think one of the first things that I learned even from your mom was one day she had fussed at me or something about something, I can't even remember, but she came back to me and she said, I'm sorry. And I'm thinking, oh my God, you know, she's saying sorry to me. Right. But that was huge. That was huge because never have I had ever seen, like, if you're the adult, if you are the authority, you are the parent, you're the older, like you don't apologize. You don't say you sorry. You know, that's just the way that it is, you know, mistake or not, you know, that's just the way that it is. So for her to do that and to extend, you know, that apology was so huge and life-changing for me, because then it showed, okay, this is how I can be in my relationships. And so I was thankful for that, but it helped me not just even in my relationship with you, but also in a relationship with my kids, to know like, okay, if I mess up, I'm sorry. So like you've heard me say, even though they say women don't say sorry, but I've said sorry.
Well, and it happens a lot because I'm usually the one, I'm right like 90, what?
0.9% of the time.
90, 97% of the time I'm right.
I don't know about that, but you know,
it's up to
whatever makes you feel good.
97% of the time I'm right anyway.
Right.
And she willingly admits that I'm right, and she apologizes all the time. I will give her credit.
Mhm.
Brothers, find you a woman. I know that they're like unicorns sprinkled in fairy dust, but they do exist. They do exist.
Yeah.
Uh, but once again, that's part of not taking yourself too seriously. It's not having a inferiority complex or
You're
anything
right.
like that. And realize that we want to be together. And if I'm wrong and I won't admit that I'm wrong, then we can't have a functional relationship.
Yeah.
It keeps that barrier
Mhm.
between us. And
Mhm.
so but learning how to handle uh, conflict, uh, and learning each other's styles and
Mhm.
and dealing with that, because my wife, um, you learned very quickly
Mhm.
in our relationship that I don't argue with people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
uh,
I wanted to argue
yeah.
sometimes. I did.
Yeah.
Again, because that's what I saw. I
Yeah.
mean, it's hey, you do wrong. I'm going I'm gonna tell you about yourself. And I'm gonna tell you real good.
Hmm.
But it's hard to tell somebody about themselves if they not trying to engage with you. It's tough. And so yeah, that was something that I had to
Yeah.
learn early on in
Yeah.
our relationship. I said, man, he don't
I don't fight
he
that.
he he don't
I look
argue.
at you. I listen. Yeah.
Yeah, he don't argue. And I remember one day we were having one of those conversations,
Hmm.
and I was wanting to really bad. I wanted to really bad to just tell you.
Hmm.
And so I'm just going on and on and on. And you just quiet as a
Hmm.
mouse. And then you said, okay, you done. And
Yeah.
then I said, this turkey. I was like, what?
Yeah.
And so, but again, that changed. And I mean, this was what year? I think this was like year two
Two
or
or three.
something, two
Yeah.
or three. And so, but yeah, learning, okay, communication
Hmm.
styles
Hmm.
and how to communicate,
Hmm.
learning how to have conflict with each other.
Right. Right.
Because some couples, they don't know how to do that, and so they don't fight fair.
Right. Yeah. That's interesting, and that's interesting that you talk about not fighting fair. Um, and I have this uh, hypothesis,
Mhm.
and this is why um, in conflict with men and women, why it gets so combative. Um, Men, as little boys, are taught how to fight for the most
Mhm.
part. Their dads or whatever, uncles, whatever, teach them how to fight. Little girls, for the most part, their dads, their uncles, whatever, don't teach them. The mom don't teach them. They put them with the Barbie dolls or whatever, the princess or whatnot.
Mhm.
So they're not taught. So when young men fight, they realize there are rules. When he's down, you don't punch him while he's down. There's just places that you don't punch, you don't kick. There are rules. And then once the fight is done, you shake hands, better man won. And some of your best friends are those that you had fights with when you were young. There
Mhm.
was, boom, best man won. No. Since women are never taught how to fight
Mhm.
as little people, they grow up not knowing how to fight. So every fight to them is a fight to the death.
Mhm.
So that's why if you see on social media and women fighting, they're going for the jugular, they hitting people with every kind of things and dragging and kicking and whatever. Fights over, they still fight.
Mhm.
Uh, and also with their words.
Mhm.
And their words are to kill. They want to. I want to get you before you get me,
Mhm.
and there's no coming back from it because they had never learned that there are rules to this.
Mhm.
And I think one of the big things that helped us that we're able to learn their rules to engagement.
Mhm. Mhm.
If you want to, so are we talking to talk, or are we talking for resolution?
Right.
If we want a problem solved,
Hmm.
then we have to act like we're trying to get a problem solved. We're
Right.
going to identify the problem, maybe the
Right.
sources of the problem, and then the potential solutions, and we work toward it.
Hmm.
Because we have to remember that we're not adversaries.
Right. 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 And we're not coming from a place where we're trying to hurt each
Yeah.
other. And so if there is some type of conflict, okay, at the end of the day, we want to solve the conflict.
Yeah.
We don't want the conflict to continue.
Yeah.
But one thing that I was just thinking as you were talking about the analogy with the girls and the
Mhm.
boys, I definitely do think that women, girls, they're a product of their environment and
Mhm.
where they came from
Mhm.
and what they saw. If mama was the type that was gonna snap off on you,
That's
you
true.
gonna be the same way.
Yeah.
It's natural.
Mhm.
Cause you don't think anything get different because that's just what you know. That's
Yeah.
what you saw. Like if you come from a family and they loud, you gonna be loud too. But if they quiet, you gonna be quiet,
Yeah.
And so, we are definitely a product of our
Environment.
environments and where we come from and what we see. And so we learn how to be able to handle conflict
Yeah.
that way. And so that's why I've always been mindful, like with the kids, in terms of what they see from us
Yes.
and how we handle conflict
Mhm.
and how we deal with things,
Mhm.
that they are able to learn. Yeah, mama and daddy, sometimes we got issues, but this is how we deal with it.
Yeah.
This is how we solve it. If I'm mad, this is how I deal with my
Mhm.
anger.
Mhm.
And there's a right way to express your anger,
Mhm.
and there's a wrong way.
Right.
And so I think that is.
And we'll say, and let us say that we did not get here overnight.
Oh gosh, no.
there has been some many
Oh gosh, no.
trials and errors, a whole lot of trials and
Oh
a
yeah.
whole lot of errors. So don't have the idea that we the Huxtables and we've always done like,
Mm-mm.
no, baby.
It took a long time, and
Oh
you
yeah.
have to unlearn
Yeah.
a behavior,
Yeah.
because again, you get into relationships and you grow up a certain way, and you learn how to be able to handle conflict,
Uh-huh.
and so this look, this is how it is.
I'm
And
thinking about
so,
that one situation. I'm I'm laughing to myself. Oh, my stomach
oh
hurt.
my goodness.
When you decided you was gonna take the kid and they was trying to I want to go back my dad.
Yeah, oh yeah. I mean, there's been so many situations where it's like, look, you figure that you're going to handle it the best way you think you know how, based upon what you know.
Yeah.
And so, but then here's the other piece to it, and this is where, again, having that relationship with God, asking God for wisdom, help me, because I don't know what I'm doing.
Mhm.
And God will show you. God will show you how to be able to deal and overcome certain
Mhm.
situations. And even, I remember there was a time you had made me mad.
One of the
Now,
many times.
yeah, look,
I'm good at making her mad.
I ain't feeding him. I ain't making his plate. I ain't, I'll feed the kid.
See, that don't sound like Jesus in the Bible.
And I'll never forget that moment. But I remember my sister, she came to me and she said, you gonna, make them something. And I had to sit for a minute, and I had to talk to God about it. And I say, because this man that you gave me, he's something. But I remember, and God was like, go ahead, take care of him, you know. And it was just through that, and it's like God's just teaching me how to love you, how to show grace, how to
Mhm.
extend grace, how to forgive and continue to move on.
Mhm.
And so God has been so awesome in that it's helped me to grow, because then all the things that I thought I knew about how to handle conflict, how to solve problems, he was like, yeah, that was wrong. You had it all wrong.
Yeah,
I had to relearn.
yeah, yeah, and I am uh grateful that you allowed the Lord to teach you. Um, and you know, uh, I was, was the experiment. I was the one that was teaching you.
Mm-hmm.
And I am so grateful because I don't know of a whole lot of women that would have allowed themselves to be taught by the Lord. Okay, that's how you deal with them. 'Cause I'm a handful.
Yeah, a whole handful.
I'm a
You a
handful.
bucket full.
But you know what? I am self-aware. I am self-aware.
He is a bucket full.
I know that I'm something. I am. I'm headstrong. I am um, um, opinionated. Um, but most of the time, my opinions are based in fact and knowledge or whatnot.
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah,
Sometimes,
I
yeah.
just like when I know what I know. But he he gave me somebody that could deal with me
Mm-hmm.
in my imperfections.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times we look for individuals to be with that uh, likes the best version of them.
Mm-hmm.
I want you to love the best version of me, the best version of who I am. When I am charming, and when I am funny, and when
Mm-hmm.
I am thoughtful, and I'm considerate. I want you to like the best version of me.
Mm-hmm.
When we have to understand that uh, we're not always the best version of ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
and how do we interact with a partner that isn't the best version of themselves?
Mm-hmm.
Um, um, do I like that person?
Mm-hmm.
Do I love that person? Is that a person that I want to be with?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not talking about anything that, because I don't want you to think, okay, the not best version is abusive, but I still love. No, I'm not talking about nothing like that. But just when he's not thoughtful, when that person is selfish sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
when when that person takes all the covers off of you,
Yeah.
yeah, and that person has their knee in your back in the middle of the night, that's not the best version. But
Mm-hmm.
but um, the person that you didn't imagine when you were creating this perfect mate in your mind,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know. And I'm so grateful that uh, you deal with me,
Mm-hmm.
and you make it look easy, and that's the thing. And so you because you make it look so you
Mm.
do it so effortlessly.
Yeah, I'm graced for it.
That's it.
I'm graced for it. But I feel like it's the same with you and me. Like you are able to pull out those things in me that need to be pulled out. You know, my timidness and being shy. You know, I don't want to
You not
out
shy.
of yes, I am. You know, all those different things. Like you're able to pull out and bring out the best in me and speak life into me in such a way um that helps me to grow. And so I'm thankful for that. So I think that, we balance each other
Mhm,
out, and that's a good thing.
mhm,
And again, I think like our kids who are looking at us, because they're always looking and they're paying attention and they're watching,
mhm.
how we are with one another and
Yeah.
how we get along with one
Mhm,
another. So they see us laughing and joking, they see you laughing at me and
mhm,
teasing
mhm.
me and vice versa, and we laughing at each other. and cracking jokes and things like that. And they're like, okay, you know. So yeah, it's not perfect all the time. We're not, you know, on 10 all the time, but we real.
Yeah.
And we're just examples of I feel like God's love.
Yeah.
You know, that is always there. Like at the end of the day, ride or die, got your back. You know, and vice versa. So I think that's great that the kids have been able to see that and just be examples for others that we've come across, that we can be that for each other.
Yeah.
And to let people know, hey, it's possible. Like again,
That's
there's no such thing though, like as the perfect mate.
Yeah.
It isn't. I mean, maybe you can think of that perfect mate and perfect for you, you know, in a certain way, but there's just no such thing, you know, because we're human.
We're flawed.
Yeah, you know, we're human. So
And I love what I really love about it too is as now I'm about to put her on blast, but watching Jasmine in her relationship
mm-hmm,
that she's in now,
mm-hmm,
uh, seeing how they operate
mm-hmm,
with one another, how she operates,
mm-hmm,
and seeing some of those things. They said, "Oh, she's been watching us.
mm-hmm,
She's been paying attention." There's some
mm-hmm.
things that she ain't going to tolerate. There's some things she will tolerate. There's some things that she knows
Yeah,
about herself and things of that nature. So
yeah,
that is that's awesome. That's awesome to see that we're rubbing off, and uh, that tells me that we're doing a decent job as parents. And so uh, that is uh, a goal in our relationship. Yes, uh, we we love each other. We um, occupy each other's thoughts and time and
mm-hmm,
and space and whatnot, and we get lost in our own world sometimes. But then we have our children that we're pouring into them
mm-hmm,
as well, and so that they uh, can do what they need to do.
mm-hmm,
Um, I was just with the boys before they went away last week, uh, and was telling them, these are the lessons. So these are the lessons that I'm teaching because I won't always be here.
mm-hmm.
And you know, what are some of the lessons that you learned in your first semester of school that Dad taught? That you are seeing, okay, you know what, Dad was telling the truth, but I really wasn't thinking it, but I'm seeing it,
Yeah, yeah,
and so they're to see them watch us to emulate what we do, um, and so I want our viewers to understand that uh, uh, your relationships are important to you.
mm-hmm,
Uh, you having fulfillment in one another, but there are people that are watching you
mm-hmm,
that are getting their cues. Um, they by watching you, they will see. You know
mm-hmm.
what? There are still some good men out there.
Yeah,
By watching you, they'll say, you know what? There are still some good women out there. By
mm-hmm,
watching you, they're able to see how to function with one another. Um, so your relationship is your relationship, but be aware that
mm-hmm,
people are watching.
mm-hmm.
You can be a blessing to someone else, and that's kind of why we decided um, to do this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
uh, Not that because we're marriage experts or that we're perfect or that we get it right all the time,
Mhm.
but we just want to share our lives with you,
Mhm.
talk to each other while you're listening, and to give you all some hope, give you some nuggets here and there that you might
Mhm.
um, it might bless you dealing with your spouse, dealing with your mate, your boyfriend, girlfriend, potentially trying to figure out, is this a person that I want to try to spend the rest of my life with?
Mhm.
Dealing with your children, with your in-laws or whatnot. And so that is why we're here. This is the purpose of Family First, or the Family First podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a good spot to
put a pin in it.
Ready to put a pin in it.
Yep.
And then we'll come back next week if they'll have us.
Yep.
All right. So once again, I am Edward Jones. This is
Latanya Jones.
And this is Family First Podcast. We will see you again next week. God bless you.
Be blessed.
Go to your Apple or Google Play Store and download the WVTC Gospel Radio app today. You can also say, Alexa, play WVTC Radio Skills.
Would you like to play WVTC Radio Network?
Absolutely. Download it today.
Views made on the preceding program are not those of WVTC Radio, iNetworks Communications, or their financial supporters.
Winning victory through Christ, WVTC Allsip Chicago, and iNetworks Communication Station.